Everything you see today was once just an idea. Every building, every company, every fortune began in the mind of someone who dared to imagine. Some people think wealth depends on luck, where you were born, or who you know. But those who truly made history, Ford, Edison, Carnegie, knew a truth most aren't willing to accept. Wealth is first created in the mind, and only later in the bank account. This video isn't just a summary of a book. It's a mental activation, a complete reprogramming of how you understand money, success, and your creative power. You're about to dive into the deepest ideas from the most important book on wealth creation ever written, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book was born out of hunger, emptiness, and the burning desire to change reality. In 1937, after the Great Depression had destroyed lives, Hill delivered a work that didn't teach financial tricks, but something far more powerful, the science of thinking to prosper. It's the result of more than 20 years of interviews with over 500 real millionaires, inventors, entrepreneurs, and leaders of his time. And they all agreed on one thing. They imagined it first, then achieved it. Now I ask you, are you willing to imagine the impossible? Stay until the end, because hidden within this video is a secret that has quietly transformed lives for generations. And it only reveals its power to those who are truly ready to see it. Welcome to the Napoleon Hill Code. Here, we don't talk about dreams, we talk about plans. We don't speak about motivation, we build unbreakable mindsets. Subscribe if you feel deep down that you're meant for something greater, because what you're about to hear could change everything. What if I told you there's a hidden secret in this video? It's not a trick. It's not a magic phrase. It's a truth so powerful, so direct, that most people overlook it for being too simple. Napoleon Hill left clues in every chapter of his book. He never revealed the secret outright because he knew the mind doesn't receive what it's not ready to understand. So he hid the secret in plain sight. Many have read this book expecting a quick formula to get rich. But that wasn't its purpose. The real purpose is to awaken you to the fact that everything you need is already inside you. Yes, the secret is on every page, but not everyone sees it. Because it's not about information, it's about transformation. Hill was clear from the very beginning. The secret cannot be gained without paying a price. And that price is thinking for yourself. Most people aren't willing to do that. They prefer to copy, to repeat, to wait. But the real creators of wealth don't wait for perfect conditions. They create them. This secret has made thousands of people millionaires. Not because they understood the book, but because they let the book transform them. If you're here looking for a trick, this video is not for you. But if you're ready to look inside your mind, to examine your thoughts honestly, to challenge everything you were taught about money, then listen closely. You don't need luck. You don't need connections. You don't need a degree. You only need one idea, a clear idea, infused with desire, an idea that gets into your soul and won't let you sleep. That's the secret. And everything you're going to hear from this point on is how to turn that idea into your new reality. Thoughts are things. That's how the first chapter of Think and Grow Rich begins. And while the phrase may sound simple, it holds one of the most overlooked truths of all time. Think about it. Everything around you, this screen, the chair you're sitting on, the money you have or don't have, was once just a thought before it became reality. The mind is the factory of everything you see, and yet most people don't guard what they think. They dwell in doubt and expect abundance. They repeat words of fear and still hope to attract freedom. That's impossible. Napoleon Hill was clear. Your dominant thoughts shape your destiny, not your fleeting wishes, not your momentary goals, but the thoughts that occupy your mind in silence, day after day. And that's why this principle is the first and the most important. To explain it, Hill told a story that impacted generations. The story of 3 feet from gold. A man invested everything in a mine, convinced he had found his big break. He dug, found a little gold, and then nothing. Frustrated, he gave up and sold the mine to a junk dealer. That dealer hired an engineer and discovered that the gold was just 3 feet away. One more meter, and the man would have been rich. That story repeats itself every day. People quit, just before the breakthrough. Not because they lack talent, but because they lack mental vision. Your mind is the first mine you must learn to dig. The ideas are there. The answers are there. The gold is there. And Hill summarized it with a powerful formula. Whatever the human mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But it's not enough to imagine it. You must believe it so deeply that it becomes part of who you are. This is how this principle works. Think with intention. Think with obsession. Think as if it were already real. Because if your thoughts are weak, your results will be too. Here, inside the Napoleon Hill Code, we're not here to stuff your mind with more information. We're here to teach you how to think in a way that transforms your bank account and your destiny. The starting point of all achievement is desire. Not a vague wish, not a fleeting hope, not a soft daydream. We're talking about a burning, all-consuming desire. One that grabs your soul, shakes your comfort, and won't let you sleep at night. Napoleon Hill wasn't referring to a surface-level want like, I want more money because it would be nice. He was talking about an inner fire so strong that it becomes sacred obsession. That kind of desire is rare, and that's exactly why most people fail. They want, but they don't truly desire. They ask, but they don't declare it as already theirs. Hill made one thing clear. Every millionaire, every leader, every world changer first burned from within. And to prove it, he shared one of the most powerful stories in the book. A general once took his army across the sea into enemy territory. Outnumbered and outmatched, he ordered his men to burn the ships. He turned to them and said, "There's no turning back. We win, or we die here." And guess what happened? They won. Because the human mind becomes fully activated only when there is no plan B. When retreat is not an option, the only choice is victory. That is what Napoleon Hill calls a definite chief aim. A blazing commitment that makes excuses vanish. That turns hesitation into action and doubt into unshakable focus. But desire alone isn't enough. It needs structure. That's why Hill gave us 6 concrete steps to turn desire into real wealth. Fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. Be specific. Determine exactly what you intend to give in return. Nothing comes for free. Set a definite date when you intend to possess the money. Create a clear plan for carrying out your desire, and begin at once. Write a concise statement of what you want, when you want it, what you'll give, and your plan. Read this statement aloud twice a day, morning and night. As you read, believe it. Feel it. See yourself already in possession of it. Sounds simple? It is, but it's not easy. It demands repetition, emotional discipline, and an unshakable belief in the invisible. Still, this is the foundation. He who masters his desire, masters his destiny. Because as Napoleon Hill repeats again and again, desire backed by faith and action becomes wealth. So don't just listen to this like another piece of content. Write it down. Say it out loud. Let your body, mind, and soul vibrate with the frequency of what you want. Because your future bank account starts with the desire you nurture today. Faith is the only antidote to failure. That's not just a hopeful phrase, it's a mental law. But what is faith, really? Faith is not praying and passively waiting. Faith is not hoping things will magically work out. Faith is an internal certainty so intense, so alive, that the world has no choice but to adjust to your belief. Napoleon Hill said it clearly. Faith is not a gift, it's a skill, a mental muscle that must be trained like any other. And how do you train it? Through autosuggestion. Now, let's be clear, autosuggestion is not magic. It's not wishful thinking or empty affirmations. It's the process of feeding specific ideas into your subconscious mind, repeatedly and emotionally, until they become your reality. Here's the truth. Your subconscious doesn't filter. It doesn't judge. It doesn't debate. It simply obeys. If every day you tell yourself, I can't do this. This is too hard. Money is scarce. Your subconscious will take it as commands, and your external world will reflect that. Scarcity, struggle, limitation. But if you declare every day with feeling, I am capable, I am worthy, I am ready to receive wealth, Then your mind starts searching for ways to prove it true. Ideas come. Opportunities appear. Energy shifts. This is not fluffy positivity. This is strategic mental programming. And to prove it, Napoleon Hill gave us the most powerful real-life example. Mahatma Gandhi, a man with no weapons, no money, no army, and no political power. Yet he moved 200 million people with one thing: unshakable faith in a cause. That faith became a collective force, a silent current that shook empires. And it all started in the mind of one man who believed. Now, imagine applying that same energy to your vision, your business, your mission. Imagine waking up every morning and reading a statement like, "I have within me the power to create unlimited wealth. I am connected to infinite intelligence. Every action I take brings me closer to the life I already see in my mind." But reading isn't enough. You must feel it. You must see it in your mind. Breathe it. Ignite it with emotion. Because the subconscious does not respond to hollow words. It only reacts when a thought is charged with faith, love, desire, or fear. And here comes Napoleon Hill's strongest warning. The subconscious also accepts the negative. If you feed it fear, doubt, guilt, shame, it will obey that too. That's why people stay stuck in the same patterns without knowing why. Because their minds were programmed wrong. And if you don't choose what to plant in your subconscious, someone else will. So hear this loud and clear. Faith is not a spiritual luxury. It is a mental weapon, the foundation for turning any desire into measurable results. He'll said it best. Both poverty and riches are the offspring of thought. There are no limits to the mind, except those you accept. And autosuggestion is the simplest, most powerful tool to remove the old and install the new. But you must use it daily, with purpose, with emotion, with commitment. Here, inside Napoleon Hill Code, we tell you what few dare say. Your biggest battle is not out there, it's within. And your victory begins the moment you dare to think differently and believe it with everything you've got. Knowledge is not power until it is organized and applied toward a definite purpose. Napoleon Hill. We were raised to believe that the more information you collect, the farther you'll go. But Napoleon Hill made it clear. Information without purpose is dead weight. There are two types of knowledge. General knowledge, what schools teach, accessible to anyone. Specialized knowledge, focused on solving a specific problem. And here's the trap where most people fall. They think having a degree guarantees success. But history tells a different story. Thomas Edison was expelled from school. Henry Ford barely finished elementary school. And yet, they changed the world. How? By applying specialized knowledge to a clear goal. But there's more. Edison didn't do it alone. Neither did Ford. They surrounded themselves with people who knew what they didn't. Because true wisdom isn't knowing everything. It's knowing how to gather the right people around you. And that brings us to something nobody talks about. Imagination. All the knowledge in the world is useless if you can't imagine something new with it. Imagination is the invisible workshop where future millionaires are born. It's the birthplace of every life-changing idea. It's where the spiritual meets the practical. Hill defines two kinds of imagination. Synthetic imagination reorganizes existing ideas into something useful. Creative imagination receives brand new ideas from infinite intelligence. And the most successful inventors, artists, and entrepreneurs, they use both. They transformed what already existed and created what had never been seen before. That's how million-dollar ideas are born. Not in classrooms. In the mind of someone brave enough to imagine what doesn't exist yet. Hill said it plainly. Whatever you can clearly imagine and firmly believe can be manifested. But pay attention. Imagination without action is just fantasy. Imagination without a plan is just a beautiful dream. So when a powerful idea hits you, do this. Write it down. Visualize it vividly, like it's already happening. Ask yourself, what knowledge do I need to apply to make this real? And then act quickly. Don't let doubt assassinate your inspiration. Don't wait for permission. Millionaires don't seek validation. They execute. Most people think they need money to start. But the truth is, money always comes after the idea, never before. So if you're wondering why you haven't built wealth yet, maybe it's because you haven't cultivated an idea clear enough, knowledgeable enough, and imaginative enough to spark that reality. Here at Napoleon Inspires, we want to leave this crystal clear. You don't need to know more. You need to think better. And that begins by understanding this. Your imagination is your most valuable asset. It has no limits, no taxes, and it can turn a trained mind into a fortune. Desire becomes power when it's transformed into action. Napoleon Hill. So imagine this. You've got a crystal clear idea. You've visualized it, felt it in your bones. You've lit the fire of burning desire, and you believe in it with unwavering faith. Now what? Now comes the part most people skip: planning. Napoleon Hill doesn't sugarcoat it. A desire without a plan is just a fantasy. And that's why the next essential step toward wealth is organized planning. Planning is the bridge between thought and result. It's where your vision starts taking shape in the real world. It's where you ask, what exactly am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Who do I need beside me? And when do I begin? But here's a crucial warning. Your first plan probably won't work. And that's not a failure. It's part of the process. The problem isn't failing. The problem is refusing to create a new plan. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before he got the light bulb to work. Henry Ford was laughed at, dismissed, ridiculed. But what did they do? They persisted. They adjusted the strategy, not the vision. They changed the plan, not the goal. And that leads us to the next principle: decision. Do you know what the most successful people in the world all have in common? They make decisions quickly, and they change them slowly. The average person does the opposite. They hesitate. They overthink. They ask everyone for advice. They flip-flop on their goals every week. But the leaders, the creators, the visionaries, they have an internal compass. And once they choose a path, they go all in. Henry Ford was famously stubborn, but that stubbornness was actually unbreakable mental clarity. Hill puts it simply: the world steps aside for the man who knows where he is going. And that's not just poetic, it's practical. Making clear decisions doesn't just get you closer to your results. It trains your mind to become the kind of person who others trust, follow, and support. Why do most people never achieve greatness? Because they live in analysis paralysis. They're waiting for guarantees. They can't bear the pressure of choosing and being wrong. But here's a hard truth. If you don't decide, you've already decided. You've decided to stay exactly where you are. And I know you're not here for that. You're here to move forward. So, today, right now, I invite you to do 3 things. Write a plan, even if it's messy, even if it's incomplete. Decide on one action you will take today. Commit to your decision like your life depends on it. Because once you have a clear plan and a firm decision, the universe starts to move. Resources appear, people show up, doors open, and wealth stops being a dream and becomes your new direction. Many men failed not because they lacked talent, but because they gave up too soon. Napoleon Hill. There's a brutal truth that few people want to hear. The path to wealth is not a straight line. There will be moments of doubt, moments of chaos, moments where everything inside you whispers, quit. And that, right there, is what Napoleon Hill calls the breaking point. It's that invisible threshold where most people turn around. They back away. They say, maybe this wasn't for me. But that's exactly the moment when you must not stop. Because that's where transformation happens. That's where those who rise separate from those who retreat. The truth is, you're closer than you think. Most people are just 1 meter from gold, and they don't even know it. So they walk away. They sell their dream. And someone else gets rich with what they left behind. Perseverance is not blind effort. It's not clinging to something out of ego. It's the deep knowing that what you want is real. And continuing to move forward even before you see results. And here's something critical. No one perseveres alone. No one builds an empire without a circle. And this is where Hill introduces one of his most powerful principles. The mastermind. What is it? It's the alliance of 2 or more minds working in harmony toward a common purpose. And the power it generates is greater than the sum of its parts. It's not just teamwork. It's synergy, mental and spiritual alignment that multiplies everything. Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men in history, admitted that most of his fortune was thanks to the 50 men he surrounded himself with. They didn't just work for him. They thought with him. They dreamed with him. They executed with him. That shared vision created a force field around their goal, a kind of energetic support that lifted him higher, especially when he stumbled. And the principle is this: do it yourself, yes, but don't do it alone. Surround yourself with people who believe bigger than you, people who push you, people who challenge you, people who ignite your fire, not those who dim it. Because wealth is not built in isolation. It's built through collaboration, with those who understand your vision and walk with you as you build it. So if you feel alone right now, it's not a sign to stop. It's a sign to upgrade your circle. Perseverance keeps you walking, but the right tribe will make you fly. Napoleon Hill spoke of a force so potent, so primal, that most people are afraid to even talk about it. A silent energy capable of transforming an ordinary man into a genius, a worker into a visionary, a dreamer into a legend. Sexual energy. Yes, sexual desire is the most powerful of all human impulses. But Hill wasn't talking about sex in the way society often reduces it. He was talking about creative life force, that intense, burning energy that drives the body, electrifies the mind, and awakens the soul. Hill called this process sexual transmutation. It's the redirection of that raw, physical desire into something greater, into creation, vision, magnetic charisma, and unstoppable drive. And this isn't theory. This is what the greats did. The inventors, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the world changers. They didn't waste their energy. They transformed it. They channeled it into music, inventions, speeches, businesses, revolutions. See, sexual energy is not just physical. It's spiritual fuel. And when redirected, it becomes pure, creative power. But here's the key. This energy doesn't work on its own. It needs a vehicle, a system. And that system is your subconscious mind. The subconscious is your internal command center. Everything you say, repeat, feel, and believe with intensity gets embedded in it. And from that inner programming, your reality is built. Here's what most don't realize. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. It doesn't speak sarcasm. It doesn't argue. It simply obeys. So if you constantly say things like, "This is hard. Money is scarce. I don't have what it takes," guess what? Your subconscious will take that as instruction and shape your world accordingly. But if you learn to speak to it with faith, desire, repetition, and emotion, everything changes. That's why Napoleon Hill emphasized autosuggestion, repeating your declarations daily with feeling. See yourself already in possession of what you desire, he said, because once your subconscious accepts it as truth, reality bends to that vision. And then something even deeper awakens. The sixth sense. Hill described this as a higher intelligence, a connection to the unseen, a whisper of guidance, an intuitive voice that speaks when logic fails. It's that feeling inside that knows the answer even when you don't have proof. It's the warning that keeps you from disaster. It's the nudge that pushes you to act, even when fear screams stop. But, and this is critical, the sixth sense only activates once you've mastered the other principles. It's not for beginners. It's for aligned minds, for trained spirits, for those who no longer question their own power. Some call it intuition. Hill called it what it truly is, a direct line to infinite intelligence. And when you reach that level of inner clarity, you stop forcing things. You stop chasing. You start flowing. You realize that everything is already in motion, even if your eyes can't see it yet. And at that point, there is no force in the world that can stop you. You've reached the end. And if you've made it this far, it's because something inside you already knew you needed to hear this. Now comes the big question, the one everyone has asked since the book was published. What is the secret? The one Napoleon Hill hinted at in every chapter, but never stated clearly. Here's the answer. The secret is you. It's your mind, your desire, your ability to imagine, your faith, your persistence, your power to hold an idea so tightly that it bends the world around you until it becomes real. That's the secret that has made thousands of people millionaires. Not a hidden trick, not a magic word, but an eternal principle that has always been right in front of you. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But very few are willing to pay the price. And what is that price? To think differently, to feel differently, to act as if you already had everything you desire, even before seeing a single result. Hill was clear. The secret doesn't reveal itself to those who casually want it. It reveals itself only to those who seek it with obsession. And you're already on that path. But now there's something else you need to know. This channel, Napoleon Inspires, exists for a reason. To take these principles to millions of people who are asleep and wake them up. And if this message has resonated with you, if it touched your soul, if something in you was lit by what you've heard today, then I invite you to support this movement. Join our memberships, not just to help this message reach further, but to become part of an inner circle, a community of awakened minds. People like you, committed expanding, not just listening, but applying, growing, and transforming their lives from the inside out. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying until the end. But remember, this is not the end of the video. This is the beginning of your new story.